Hey guys, we are back. It's day five of Miracle March. And Miracle March is just an intentional month of transforming minds by influencing, motivating, and coaching aspiring entrepreneurs and equipping them with the tools to be successful. And man, it's been such an exciting time to anyone. If you're looking and you're viewing, it doesn't matter where you're viewing from. Share the link, share this with somebody else, encourage them to come on because we have had really amazing guests and it's just been such an amazing transformational conversations each and every single time that I do this, and I'm excited to be here. And today we got Annie with me. Annie, how are you? So
I'm
good
well.
to see you.
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. So tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and why you're here, and then let's just jump into it.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome. As soon as you announced it, I was like, I'm jumping on that opportunity for sure. Um, so I've I've been kind of listening to you on some of the Daily Dial mornings with the sub two community, and it's been very helpful so far. Just kind of getting my mindset straight. Um, and so I just am really excited for this opportunity to kind of continue working on that portion of this real estate investing journey that I'm on.
That's awesome, and thank you for being there, man. I started doing that almost 2 years ago, and it started out as me helping people with closing deals, right? Like, hey, let's close deals, and everyone wants to be a closer. And what started to happen was people wouldn't take action, right? They would learn all the sales skills, but then when it was time for them to go and do stuff, I would see in the community, man, I feel stuck. I feel like an imposter. I feel like, how do you keep your motivation? And so that Tuesday Daily Dial went from me just teaching people sales. And then one day I'm like, we're going all in with mindset because I believe that this is what most people need, even more than the tactical skills. And I've just fallen in love with it, and I started to kind of discover my own purpose on this journey. So thank you for being there and allowing me to live my purpose through helping you guys. And so today I want to do the same and being able to help you and guide you with whatever questions you have. So what you got for me?
Well, it was probably just a couple weeks ago now, so not that long ago, where um, you spoke about finding your why and your purpose, and that there were different types of whys. And the light bulb moment for me in that discussion was um, like your we why is what you called it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, because I've been trying to get something going, but nothing, I didn't really seem to get any traction on anything. It's like you hear all the new people say you're kind of all over the place. You're trying this, you're trying that, and you're taking action, but inconsistently, and you don't even know if it's the right action to be taking. And so it wasn't until sort of after that that some pieces kind of started coming together for me, and I kind of found my we why. And I know I spoke to you a little bit about this the other day, but I I decided to focus on like the group home model in order to help, supply either sober living homes or just places for homeless, or a whole bunch of different people. Like there's a massive need for that everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of got hooked up with a couple different people that had the same purpose, and that was sort of took me that step further into my why beyond my immediate circle. It was like, how can I help people beyond me and my family in this immediate inner circle that I have into something greater.
Yeah.
And so that was awesome. Like it's kind of lit that fire a little bit more, and it's been much easier having found that and decided on that and trying it out, to take the action and to continue forward when it gets, and it still gets difficult. Like, don't get me wrong,
Sure.
there's still some times where I'm like questioning it, and so it's still a work in progress, but it's been a little bit more clear lately. So I think
Annie, I gotta pause you because you're filling my heart up right now just to even hear you today in discovering your wee why. And for the listeners who's never heard of the wee why, the wee why is when you start doing things bigger than yourself, right? When you start living in a way and your why is bigger than yourself. A lot of people, they live in the need why, where it's like you want to do things for you, and you got to pay your bills, you got to do all of these different things, but it's you focused. And when you do that, guess what happens when that need to pay your bills runs out, and or you've met that need? When you've met that need, there's no motivation, and so you run out of motivation. It's almost like being hungry, and then when you eat, there's no more desire for food because that need has been met. Another why is the me why, and that's when you do things for you. So like an athlete or someone like that who wants to do something because it's more ego driven, right?
Mhm.
You're doing something for, you want to be a size 1 figure kind of thing, right? Like it's, those are things you do for yourself, and that's the me why. And the we why is when you do things bigger than yourself, and that's the hardest why to really figure out, but it's the why that gives you that fuel to keep going over and over, because one of the highest senses that as a human we all have is to help someone else. What I love about your story, Annie, is that you were able to find that group, because when you ask someone like, hey, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? They say, I'll help people. Like, who would you help?
Yeah.
People, right? They get stuck right there. But you were able to niche down and to say exactly who you're going to help. Tell me why you've chosen that specific group of people to be able to help.
Well, and so I'm glad that you asked that question, because I've been thinking a lot about it, and I've even had people ask me as I've been talking to more people about doing this model, like what my story is, and I think a lot of people are expecting it to be like I used a sober living home, or I had a family member or somebody close to me that went through that and that struggled through that, and I saw the need for it or something like that. And it's nothing like that. It's so that's been a little bit of a struggle mentally for me. And I don't know if we need to get into all of that, but it's like my family was not very well off, and we had a lot of people helping us. I'm one of 11 kids, and my father passed when I was 14, so there were still 6 kids living at home.
Mhm.
And it was, so I mean, it was a struggle. There was always, we didn't have very big Christmases, and if we did, it's because we woke up and there were random gifts left on the front porch, and all that type of stuff. So we definitely had some help. And as I get older and I get more established in what I'm doing in my life, I want to give back in some way. And it's it's very, I mean, it's difficult for me to walk down the street and see homeless people sitting on the side of the road, or to hear about hardships that people have and just needing a second chance, because I've felt that before. I've felt like, if I could just get that little nudge, that little push, like that little bit of help, just to keep the hope alive, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it not only helps me solve some sort of a problem, but it also helps me be more involved in my local community where I feel like you can have the most impact of change in your environment. So that's part of it too. It's like I want to meet people that are going to help me to make any sort of change that I want in my local environment.
I think that's really incredible, and your story definitely adds to it, right? Because you guys have a pretty big family, and it's almost like you're wanting to prevent something from happening to other people, that resembles what your life could have been. And so you're answering, and you're providing a solution to something that could have been for you, and it reaches home. And
Yeah.
so basically what you've shared so far as well is it's been giving you more direction and clarity as to your real estate investing. Now, talk to me about where you are with that. Let's see if I could get you to the next level in getting closer to your goal. And what is your goal?
So currently my goals for the group home model is I want to try to get one group home established in within the next quarter at least. But then once that, because I have not done a deal yet. So I'm trying to get that at least, I guess lack for a better phrase, proof of concept down. And then once that first one gets done, I'm hoping that it could be like one a month at that point.
Mm.
So, I've been talking and meeting with a bunch of different, caseworkers in the area, nonprofit organizations that do rapid rehousing programs, and trying to make those connections to get to see where the greatest need is and how that whole process works. I've also been obviously trying to source the home, and that is either via a purchase myself, or a lot of times these homes are done via arbitrage. So I've been talking to a bunch of landlords in the area that have homes for rent as well. So just mostly trying to make the connections and trying to get this first one done.
Love it. What's the criteria you're using to be able to source this home? How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, square footage? What is that?
So they work best, and there's still a few questions in my mind that I have to work out. So this might change a little bit, but they work best at least 4 bedrooms, at least 2 bathrooms. And it's not a massive priority, but it's better if they're near a better established public transportation, or at least, where they can easily bike to and from work if that's what they need to do, or wherever, or the grocery store or whatever. So it's got to be a little bit accommodating in that sense, because most likely not all of them are going to have vehicles or a different way of transportation. So, and then, I mean, those are the 3 main things: 4+ bedrooms, 2+ baths, and then near public transportation. Oh, and no HOAs is preferred. It can be done in a neighborhood with HOAs, but it's a little bit easier and less of a headache if it's not.
Love it. What's your price point that you're looking at?
So it kind of depends on the area, but I'm starting to focus on the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. That's just near where I am, so it's a little bit easier to establish. And so looking at like the median price range for homes of that size, it would be around in the 300s, I'm thinking. At least what I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. And how are you gonna buy it? Are you gonna buy it creatively, Or are you going to finance it on your own? What are you thinking for that?
Well, the goal would be to buy it creatively. The upfront costs, the entry fee is a little bit bigger in this model, or this in the group home model anyway, because we would provide, you want to try to make it as affordable as possible
Mm-hmm.
for the tenants. So it would be fully furnished. All the utilities are included, and like a landline phone and stuff like that. So the upfront costs are a little bit more expensive. So it would be ideal to get into the property with less upfront costs, the least amount of upfront costs as possible. So something on the creative side would be ideal. Or like I said, finding a landlord who's willing to let let me rent from them and run the group home out of their home would be something that would work as well.
Love it. What you don't know, Annie, is
Mhm.
that I wanted to do group homes at one point.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I did a bunch of research. We've even acquired properties to do it, and I pulled out. The reason why I pulled out from doing it is because my core values as to me connecting with that group, and even while I'm providing a service, providing value, and created something, I was just so bothered by being driven by money and not um the heart, not the deep heart. And as again, of course I'm going to care for people, but on that deep level I just wasn't motivated enough to
Hmm.
go that route. And so I said, guys, team, let's change course here, because I couldn't feel it like deep within like other operators did. So I understand, and I know a lot about the legal side of it, and where and how to get the neighbors on board and all that type of stuff. And you do sound really well equipped with good information. So I'm pretty sure that you're gonna do pretty well at that.
Well,
Um,
if you have any suggestions or any resources, I would gladly listen and look into that, because like I said, I mean, this is literally something that's been like less than a month where I was like, this is what I'm going to do, full steam ahead. So I've been really focused on it for the last 2 or 3 weeks now, but it's still somewhat new. So I'm
yeah.
definitely in the early stages. I've been connecting with a lot of people that I've found through various resources that are also trying to do this. So I'm trying to make connections with them to get ideas and just recommendations on the best way to go about it as well.
Have you connected or seen the sober investor?
So I just saw his interview with Marlon that he did probably a year ago now, but I just found that the other day. I've reached out to Patrick in a couple ways, but I haven't heard back yet, which
Okay.
I'm not super surprised about. I know he's super busy, but I'm still going to try, because I think he would be an amazing resource. And from what he said on that interview, he really wants to help others do this in their area as well. So I would be all for getting in touch with him.
It's one of my buddies. I'll get you connected.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll get you connected there. Now, let's go to some of the things that are holding you back. What's one of your biggest struggles that you're facing right now? Mentally, just what's one of the biggest struggles that you're facing right now?
I was thinking about that, and I think for me, it's still a little bit of the imposter syndrome. And as a new investor in general,
Hmm.
that's been like there's different areas of imposter syndrome. So it kind of starts with, I think it's similar for everybody. It kind of starts with, well, you've never done real estate investing at all. So just the general, you're an imposter. But then as you kind of get over that and work through it and keep taking the action. At, like when I finally decided this is what I'm going to do, and I was, had the excitement around it. And I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but there's still that sort of imposter syndrome that it's like, well, why do you care so much? It's not because I haven't had the direct experience of needing a group home or a sober living home, that I almost feel like, you know, why do you, that people are like, who are you to be so adamant about this, or so like, why are you even doing this? Why do you care? Sort of thing. Like most of the time when people are, when they get into something like that, it's because of some personal experience they've had with it. And I
Yeah.
don't necessarily have that direct correlation. So I think there's a little bit of that going on.
Now, and I think that's super normal for almost anyone, no
Yeah.
matter if you're going into Airbnb, if you're doing like anyone that hasn't done that first deal yet, definitely has that sprinkle of imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
I remember when my first mentor had us go and start making calls, and we started calling like list from Zillow just to get it out. And the reason why he said to us, he said, hey, go and call people in a state that you will never do business in, or you think you'll never do business in. And the reason for that is because when you start taking that action and you start saying, hey, my name is Keston and I'm an investor, you don't really believe it the first few months, right? Like
Yeah.
you say it in a way that you don't believe. And so he set us up for success with doing the reps until we started to believe it a little bit more. And for me, I remember, man, when I started doing this, I still had my 9 to 5 job. And so I would go at lunchtime in a conference room and start making these calls. And it was so hard to believe myself that I was an investor. So I totally understand what you're saying. Now, here's the other piece that helped me. The piece that helped me was me asking myself, Keston, what are your intentions here?
Mm-hmm.
What are your intentions? Because if you're coming from a place of good intention, then that helps to ease the thought of being something that you're not. Because you go through this process of development and knowing that you're starting a new journey, because and your intentions are pure. And especially with a niche like the one that you're going in, it's very important to hold the intention in front of you versus what other people may say. And I think that's going to be super, super important for you in going forward, because if you know why you're doing it, you know what your intentions are, then what other people say doesn't matter at all. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. And honestly, I mean, that's kind of what's been driving me to action, to more action than I've ever taken in any other, or more consistent action than
Yeah.
I've taken in any other piece of my real estate investment journey, is just that, like, just knowing that of all the help it's going to be for people, and like seeing people getting that second chance and using it to become something that they at one point in their life probably never thought they could be, is just,
Mhm.
I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And once you go with that servant heart, it's going to be beautiful to watch people go through that transition in their lives and then become something and to be awesome. And so I think it's really, really, really important to hold that ahead of you
Yeah.
always, like, just and keep moving. And there are going to be days when it just feels like, why am I even doing this? And you got to just continue to hold your goal. And so, does your vision of who you see yourself being align with this goal that you have?
Mm. Yes. And it's, I can see it because once I decided to focus on this, then in my mind, it kind of blew up into like even more.
Yeah.
So I can already tell that this is because the original model was, shared living for adults. But even just in the little amount that I've been connecting with people and talking to people, like in my mind, I'm already like, okay, how can I do this, but
Mhm.
also tweak it to include like families
Mhm.
and single parents that need help as well.
Yeah.
So there's already this sort of growth in my mind of what's next. And sometimes I have to slow myself down a little bit because I'm like, just get this going. And then we see how we can kind of tweak it here and there to incorporate these other groups of people that also need this type of assistance.
Right. And what I love about what you're sharing here is that when you set a goal and you focus on it, all types of ideas just starts to come, and it starts
Mm-hmm.
to expand, and it starts to expand, and you hit that goal, you do that thing that you want to do, and then the opportunity finds you, but it finds you on the journey. It doesn't find you when you are just thinking about it, right? It's on the journey. Your purpose becomes clearer and clearer. And that's why I encourage my clients all the time, like, hey, go after maybe purpose, because
Yeah.
it's in maybe purpose where you will find that thing that just fills you up so much that it's like, oh man, I think that's it. Right. And you try it, you date it, you do it, and then it's like, man, this is me all in. I'm all in on that. And that was kind of my experience with even becoming a coach and finding my purpose in doing this. I mean, I started with real estate, right? Who would have thought real estate would have got me to the thing that really fills me up, And so
Yeah.
it's actually starting that really creates that entry point to your purpose.
And it's a great thought to keep in mind because um and like your maybe purpose, because it gives you permission to tweak it and change it and mold it to what feels right for you, when a lot of times you get so nervous about saying this is what I'm going to do, because then what if it doesn't end up that that's exactly what you're doing, and you feel like you have to explain all these things to people and they're like, well, I thought you were doing that. And so I really like that idea. It's like, yeah, this is what I'm trying out for now, and let's see how it's tweaked or how it's, shifted or whatever to fit what really truly inspires me. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it's one thing that it's a good thing to keep in mind for sure.
And do you know why we think like that? Because naturally, as humans, we hate commitment. We hate commitment because when you say like, oh, this is my purpose. Purpose is it sounds like a forever thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, well, let me not share or even try this thing because I don't want to say that this is my purpose and I got to do it forever,
Yeah.
And the maybe purpose is it gives you permission, like you said, to date it, to be like, well, maybe it's this. But if you never try, how would you ever know? And
Well, And it's crazy because even up until this point in my real estate investing journey, I haven't really been vocal to even like my husband or friends or anything about what I'm doing. But this group, or even the community, even the real estate community, I haven't put myself out there saying, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," until this. And I can't even tell you, even in this last week, just continuing to put it out there like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing group homes. I can't even tell you how many other people I've already connected with and like, oh, you should check out Marlon's podcast, or you should talk to him, or you should go. And it's like, why wasn't I just saying this earlier? Like, why wasn't I saying what I was doing earlier?
Because you didn't have that address in your GPS.
Yeah.
Right? You were driving around kind of here, but it wasn't until you put the address in and you're like, hey, everyone, here is where I'm going. Now people could support you to get there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's the key piece, is having the clarity to know this is where I'm going. And that's what you were able to do just by understanding your why and like your motivation. I'm seeing you light up. I'm seeing you become alive. You literally came alive once you've found that why. And that is inspiring.
Yeah.
That is super. I'm super excited for you, because I've seen you now come alive, now that you have concentrated on that thing to be able to go to the next level. And man, proud of you, super proud of you.
Well,
Now,
I attribute a lot of it to you and your calls in the morning. So I really appreciate you.
it's my duty. I could say that it's my purpose. It's definitely my purpose to give the value, to share, and to help others discover their whys. And let's talk about, as we wrap up, let's talk about paradigms. Let's talk about your thoughts on that. Because I know if you've been on those calls, you've heard me talk about paradigms and this concept and idea. What do you think you need to overcome to get the habits necessary to achieve your goals?
Um, I think that it's very easy to like come up with excuses as to why something can't be done, or why you don't have enough time, or why today's not the best day, or other things that you should be doing instead of what's really going to move you forward.
Mhm.
And so it's funny that it kind of all happened at the same time, but literally in the past couple weeks, I've also been able to tweak and sort of nail down my time blocking
Mm.
system, which I've been trying so many different things on that for, I can't even tell you how long, and nothing's really stuck, or no method of keeping track and following it. And it is kind of weird. I didn't even think about it till now, how the two just kind of started working together. And it's like very clear as I'm speaking about it that I mean, I'm sure it has to do with my excitement around the actions that I'm taking. It's been easier to not only time block, but actually follow the time block and do what you say you're going to do in that time block.
Yep.
So I mean, it's still a struggle, don't get me wrong, because it's, like I said, it's super easy to make up excuses. And but the bottom line is like, you do what you want to do if you actually want to do it.
So good. So good. And here's what happened. It became more important to you.
Yeah.
Before, there was no drive to need to time block. It's like, why am I doing this? You should do it, but it wasn't important enough. Now that you've found something that fuels you, and is more important than the habit itself of not time blocking, Now you're starting to implement it. And this is what happens when you found that thing that fuels you. Then your old habits all of a sudden isn't as important. You have new habits that you need to do to achieve your goals. And so one does trigger the other, and you would see your behaviors in different aspects of your life also change simply because of finding that why. Like it's incredible what happens, man. And look
It
at you, look at your face. You're like, you're full of like joy and smiles, and like
well,
this is
it's funny too,
amazing.
because it makes logical sense when you say that. And
Yeah,
like, but at the same time, it's like, why did it take me so long to figure that out?
because we're conditioned. We're conditioned, and unfortunately, people who don't get and go after a higher sense of consciousness or even understanding, they will just continuously do the same things for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's what it is, and which is why I try to disrupt people's lives by sharing this type of knowledge and explaining things in a third grader way that people can understand and make sense and kind of get um out of just being hypnotized, man.
Yeah.
That conformity that I've lived in for so many years, like when I snapped out of it, and it's no easy task snapping
Yeah.
out, because you could learn it still intellectually, but then you still need the habits to do it.
Yep.
I think that's the it's hard, and
Hmm.
my heart is just so heavy for people who are still caught in it. That's the reason why I'm committing 100% to sharing this and to liberating others, because when I have people like yourself that's just like, oh my goodness, like it finally clicks.
Hmm.
The fulfillment I get from that, Annie, is one that money cannot give.
Nice.
It really is. And you're gonna feel the same way when you help your people
Yeah.
and you start implementing. And what we need to talk about now is accountability, because here's the sad truth. The sad truth is that you have habits that are more powerful than even an idea or thought
Hmm.
that's going to try to pull you back to who you used to be. And it's only through accountability and being in the right environment would you be able to start changing those old habits. And so what are you doing for yourself to be accountable to getting to the next step or continue on this process? Because motivation runs out, and so you want implementation of things that stays forever.
So, I think part of that for me is just the connecting that I've been doing with people, and I'm glad that that's increasing and gaining traction
Yeah,
lately, because you hear people talk about this all the time in real estate as well, as like work with other people. You can't do a deal by yourself, and it, again, that thought never really sunk in with me until just recently also. But because it's true. It's like not only can you find people that have strengths where you might not be as strong, but also it's like the accountability piece. Like you've got somebody else you're working with and that's relying on you to do your part, or that is relying on you to do what you said you were going to do. And whether it's like a formal accountability partner, or it's
mhm,
just somebody that you connect with and somebody that you voice your intentions to, there's like an accountability piece to that every time I say it out loud. Every
yeah,
time I post something on Facebook or in a group or in a Zoom or whatever, like there's somebody on there that sees that, that's like, okay, you know, she said she's going to do this. Is she true to her word? And so that's a big part of it for me, is just connecting with people. And I do have a couple of more formal, like, accountability groups that I consistently am on a weekly basis.
Mhm.
But I think those are just as important as the informal pieces of just connecting with people and finding and building those relationships and partnerships.
Man, keep going, Annie. Like, I'm loving what you're sharing. I think you are doing the things necessary for it to stick. And on this journey, you are going to meet that person who might be an integrator, might be a visionary. I'm not sure which one you are,
Me
but
either.
take the test. Take the test so that you know. There's a test on rocket fuel that tells you how what you are.
I took
Or
it,
and
but I think I took it a long time ago. And
uh-huh.
it was when I was very early in my journey. And I felt like the questions were not relevant to any of my experience at all.
Yeah.
So, so I was like, I didn't test high there was no real definite answer. But I always assumed I was more of an integrator just because I'm pretty analytical and an overthinker. But kind of the more I get into this, the more I'm like, maybe I'm more of a visionary. So I think I need to revisit it and just see.
There you go. And please understand, everyone that's listening, integrators do have visionary tendencies because
Sure.
they do have to like build things out and see things as well. So there's
Mhm.
definitely some visionary in integrators from a creation standpoint. Man, Annie, is there anything else I could help you with before we get off of here?
Um, I mean, I don't think so. Again, all of anytime I speak with you or listen to you, it's always there's always several light bulb moments and good reminders. And so I just really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you one on one and to really get clarity on some of these things. So thank you so much for this time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting me to be able to guide you on your journey and help you become more clear to achieving your goals. Because when you achieve your goals or even have those light bulb moments,
Hmm.
those things fill me up so much. And
Nice.
so I'm rooting for you. Like, I am rooting for you to see you close on your first deal, your first group home deal, and then start adding more and more and more. And I could see it happening because you have that burning desire to get it done. And so, Annie, thank you so much for being a part of Miracle March. And guys, it's been such a blessing to bless others. Whenever you find that thing that fills you up inside, whenever you find that thing that allows you to do more beyond yourself, a lot of people, if you believe your why is your family, getting a nice house, and all that type of stuff, when you get that, then what? When you get the lifestyle that you want, then what? That's the why that we want. That's the why that's going to help you do all of the things for others. And in the process, you'll be able to achieve all the goals and the dreams that you've ever wanted. Zig Ziglar always says, you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. And that's what I'm about. That's what my life exemplifies, and that's the life I try to live. And it's a servant leader lifestyle. And my greatest example is my God, Jesus Christ. That's my belief, and that's what I prefer. Everyone is due to their own opinion. That's my ultimate source and guide. So please, guys, my goal for this channel is to get to 1,000 people before the end of March. So please share my YouTube channel, share that, because this is what I'm going to be committing this YouTube channel for. to be able to help transform minds so that people could get to their goals and share the things that I wish I knew. Thank you so much. This is day 5. Tomorrow we'll be back for day 6, and we'll be going to 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow at day 6. So please like and subscribe. Share this with people that you know. Share with your grandma. Share with your aunt. Anyone who wants to grow, this channel would be a great fit for. Peace and love. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Catch you later.